Good morning. This is Father Seán of the North Kerry pastoral area from a windy and rain-swept mouth of the Shannon this morning. It's the eve of the fourth Sunday of Lent. And I'd like to read the psalm for you today from the readings from Mass. It's a very familiar psalm to us. It's the reading that gets my attention and it holds my energy. And 'tis Psalm 137. We're familiar with it as 4 verses. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat and wept, remembering Zion. On the poplars that grew there, we hung up our harps. For it was there that they asked us, our captors for songs, our oppressors for joy. Sing to us, they said, one of Zion's songs. Oh, how could we sing the song of the Lord on alien soil? If I forget you, Jerusalem, let my right hand wither. Oh, let my tongue cleave to my mouth if I remember you not, if I prize not Jerusalem above all my joys. That's a very familiar song or psalm, and made extremely familiar by Boney M. If you remember them, I'd love to be able to sing it for you if I had the gift of singing. But can I just play a couple of seconds of Boney M? I think it will do much more than me talking about it. Yeah, I think we all, certainly from my era, that was Boney M in the 1970s and the late 70s, making their own of that song or that psalm. And the reason they could make it their own, they were from the Caribbean or the Caribbean, and their ancestors had been enslaved. Their ancestors were from Africa, and they had been enslaved. So they were singing that song with their own history in mind. Now, Psalm 137 was sung and written by the Hebrew people who were enslaved. They were enslaved in Babylonia. And this was all about 600 years before Christ was born. So that's a long time ago for us, but it still resonates in our world. And it's a song, it's a lament for Jerusalem, a lament for their home country, their home city. And it's a psalm or a song that's just regularly part of Christian liturgy, but also Jewish liturgy. And it comes from that era when their city, Jerusalem, was put under siege by the Babylonians. That famous King Nebuchadnezzar, he was who laid it under siege about 600 years before Christ. And eventually Jerusalem, the term is used, it fell, it was captured, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem were deported to work as slaves in Babylonia. So they were held captives there. So this was by the rivers of Babylon. And those rivers are the rivers Euphrates and Tigris or Tigris. They are the rivers that are there. And you know, as we read it today at Mass this weekend, it's just sad and just heartbreaking to know that there still are so many people, millions of people, enslaved all over the world. And we are told also here in Ireland that there are people enslaved. And we hear the lament of the Hebrew people so long ago. And I think we can hear it in the music and in the words and the way it was sung by Boney M. Modern slavery is very hard to estimate their numbers or what it's about. But it really refers to any person who's either brought against their will or seduced away from their home country due to poverty and then forced to work against their will. And enslavement is the opposite to freedom. And Christians, of course, the heart of our Christianity is freedom. That's why Jesus was crucified, is so that we don't have to be enslaved to anything. And it is in the gospel today, that story of Jesus being lifted up so that all will be free. And that's at the heart of Christianity. So we commit ourselves today to Jesus and to Jesus on the cross, so that we can commit ourselves that we be free, but all people in the world to be free. So can we take just maybe half a minute or a minute on our own, focusing on Jesus and the cross, and maybe hearing that lament that we hear in Psalm 137, that lament that's in the hearts of, still today, millions of people all over the world. Thank you, and we continue in prayer. And we pray for all who are enslaved. We pray that God will preserve them from harm and give them strength and help them to freedom. Lord, hear us. We pray for all Christians, ourselves and all Christians, that we may recommit ourselves to Jesus on the cross, so that all people can live in freedom. Lord, hear us. We pray for Pope Francis on the anniversary of his election as Pope. We pray that God will sustain him in his ministry, inspire his teaching, and help him to lead the church to greater faith and love. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. We pray for all who are sick, people that we've been asked to pray for, all who are sick at home or in hospital, and we entrust them to the healing hand of Christ and to the healing hands of their family and friends. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. We pray for all who have died, our own friends and family that are uppermost in our hearts. And our prayers are asked for the repose of the soul of Patrick Pat Lennon of Sandhill Road and Listall Lodge, whose funeral took place yesterday. And for those whose anniversaries occur at this time, Nora O'Connor of Laharden, Anthony and Doreen Costello, Margot Pierce, Timothy and Neelis Carr, Mary Ellen Burden, Brian Walsh and John Lawler. We pray that they will share in the life and love of God forever in heaven. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. And we sum up all our prayers as we use the words that Jesus gave us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thank you for joining with me, and we pray again together next week for the 5th Sunday of Lent. Thank you.